Good morning. Welcome to our gentle yoga class. Today we are on the second niyama, which is called Santosha. So feel free to find yourself in a comfortable seat, or my favorite way to start class when I'm a student is to lie down on the back and in what's called constructive rest pose. So you can allow the knees to tent together, the feet to walk as wide as the mat if you like. And the second niyama is called contentment. In Sanskrit, they call that Santosha. So I've been listening to the chapter a few times to find some good quotes, nuggets of wisdom on Santosha. In the book by Deborah Adele, she says, "In this country, wanting what we don't have has become a contagious plague. Rather than experiencing contentment, we can find ourselves busy, getting ready for the next thing, tossed about by our preferences for what we like and what we don't like, and riding the waves of annoying disturbances. The jewel of Santosha invites us into contentment by taking refuge in a calm center, opening our hearts in gratitude for what we do have, and practicing the paradox of not seeking. Practicing gratitude protects us from our own pettiness and smallness and keeps us centered in joy and the abundance of our own life. When situations pull at us and disturbances beckon us, it is the gratitude uttered from our own lips that keeps us strongly rooted in contentment. The Buddhists speak of developing an abiding calm, a centeredness that is unshakable, like a tall tree so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it. This is the image of contentment. It means not riding the waves of the ups and downs of life. We stay in the abiding, calm center. In the words of Swami Rama, contentment is falling in love with your own life. So if this idea of Santosha contentment speaks to you, feel free to use it today as an intention for your practice. And then yamas and niyamas, she speaks of each of these yamas and niyamas as a jewel. So you might take a moment to just imagine that jewel of Santosha contentment. What could it look like? And then we're going to all meet up on our back. So if you're seated, you might come onto your back. Sometimes it could feel nice to take a blanket or the edge of your yoga mat and make a nice, gentle, a small roll to place underneath your heart center as a little bit of a heart opener. So I'm just going to take that roll and then make your way onto your back, remembering that you could also use a bed if you didn't want to come onto the floor. I like to use my blocks to help me gently come down onto the ground. Use any furniture that you like. And if you do have yoga blocks, you might have them close by. And then we'll lower down so that that blanket roll is right underneath your heart, if that feels good. You might cactus your arms out to the side, opening through the chest. Or maybe you want to rest your hands on your belly, walking your feet as wide as your mat. You could tent your knees together, or if it feels good, you could reverse that by bringing the soles of the feet to touch and the knees open wide. Maybe wedging blocks for support underneath the knees. So just take a moment to settle in. We'll take some nice deep breaths into the heart space, trying to cultivate the warrior's breath. This is Ujjayi breathing. So you can inhale through the chest, through the belly, maybe sealing the lips, but finding some space in between the jaw. So you're not clenching your teeth. As you breathe in and out through the nose, can you listen for that soothing quality of your breath? Take 3 more nice, deep, intentional breaths like this. And as you breathe, imagine that jewel at your heart center, glowing brightly with light on your inhale and softening and fading with your exhale. Imagine an image of contentment. Allow that image to root at your heart center. After that last breath, we'll stretch the arms out into a letter T, and then you can float your hands up towards the sky. Bring the right arm over the top of the left, land the left hand underneath the right shoulder, and then you might start to rock that your torso side to side. So maybe this would work better with your feet flat on the mat. And you might just find a little bit of rocking motion, maybe feeling for the massage of the blanket roll along your spine. Maybe your torso travels as you find this rock from side to side. Go ahead and Find stillness once more. We'll open the arms out into a letter T. Take a nice deep breath into your heart and then exhale as you reach the hands up towards the sky. This time the left arm comes on top, the right arm comes below. And go ahead and gently rock the torso side to side, maybe pressing into the feet. As you breathe in, can you breathe into the back of the body, in between the shoulder blades and the spine? Either allowing the blanket roll or just the earth to massage the back. And when you're ready, we'll come back to stillness. Go ahead and press your feet into the earth to lift the hips and the spine. And you can unroll the blanket if it's there, or you can also roll onto one side and just toss the blanket off to the side. From here, we'll inhale to float the arms up towards the ceiling, and then you can reach the fingertips past the ears. Maybe your hands land on the mat, maybe they hover above the mat. And then on the next exhale, go ahead and lower the hands back down. Let's go ahead and take a few movements just like this. Inhaling to reach the arms past the ears, maybe. Exhaling to lower them back down. Breathe into any areas of sensation, maybe the shoulders, the upper back. And then the next time your hands reach down towards the earth, you can bend the elbows, snuggle the elbows in towards the rib cage, and then walk the heels in towards the sit bones. We're going to get ready for some bridge. So on the next inhale, you can lift the hips any amount off of the earth, press into the heels, and then exhale, gently lower the spine back down. Go ahead and take a few rounds of bridge, following the pace of your own breath, breathing into sensations. These can be really small micro movements, or maybe they're a little bit bigger, more exaggerated. Just feeling into what feels right for you today. The next time you lift your hips, feel free to hold in an active bridge, or if you have a block, you might slide it underneath your low back for a supported bridge. So you can rest that block right underneath your sacrum. And this is kind of a gentle inversion here. If you're holding in an active bridge, you could always shimmy your shoulders underneath the body and interlace your hands underneath you. That would be another option. You might take a moment to close down the eyes or soften the gaze. And see if you can breathe into sensations here. We'll take one more nice deep breath. With your next exhale, go ahead and lift the hips, slide the block out from underneath you, and lower your hips back down. Now we'll press into the heels to just lift the hips a little bit, slide them over to the right, and then you can land the knees over to the left, turning your gaze over to your right hand. Come into a nice gentle twist. You can stay right where you're at or on your next hand. Now you dial that right hand up towards the sky, or up overhead, really. Dial it around like a halo over your head, and then reach your right fingertips past your left hand. And then we're going to come back the same way, but this time you can bend the elbow and reach the elbow down, kind of to hover behind you. So dial the hand overhead, reach towards the left fingertips, and then bend the elbow. You're cactusing the arm, floating it back behind you. A few more times like this. The next time you roll all the way onto your side, you can either prop your head up on your arm like this, so you're bending your elbow, your hand is holding your head, or feel free to use the block, slide the block underneath the side of your head like a pillow. Or you could literally use a pillow here if you'd like. We're going to do some clamshells on this side to warm up through the hips. So go ahead and glue the heels together. Inhale to lift the top knee. Exhale to lower it back down. You can take a few rounds at your own pace, warming up through the glutes, strengthening. See if you can allow for that gratitude to pour out from the heart center, make its way down to circle that hip joint. And in gratitude for the strength, keeping the rest of the body relatively still. And then the next time you close down the knees, you can soften here. We'll slide the knees back so that they're just in a straight line with the body now. You can lift the top knee and lower it down towards the ground. And you could use a block underneath the knee to help bring the earth up to you if it didn't want to come all the way down to the ground. And just find a nice stretch through the glute here. You can kind of allow your right shoulder to soften back, maybe coming into a little bit of a twist with the upper back. And maybe you take your fist and just find a gentle pounding of your hip, helping to massage and relax that hip. And then we'll roll onto our backs. We're going to get ready to do all of this on the other side. So from here, I'm just going to turn around so I can face you, moving some of my props out of the way. So go ahead and press into your feet, lift your hips a little, slide them over to the left, and then allow your knees to stack over to the right. And you can spread your arms out into a letter T, Softening into your twist, relaxing into the support of the earth. See if you can sense and feel the hug of gravity. Maybe imagining it as a loving hug from the universe. And then if you want to try that movement we did before, you can dial your left hand, trace it in a semicircle above the head, like a halo over the top of the head, and then reach for your right fingertips. And then we'll come back the way we came, but this time you could bend the elbow, allow the shoulder to open, the elbow to hover over the earth, and feel free to find a few more rounds like this, tracing that semicircle above your head. Maybe opening up through the chest, the shoulder, the next time your left hand hovers above your right hand, will stay on this side. So you can either slide a block underneath your temple to rest your head or prop your head up on your hand. And then let's find a few rounds of clamshells, gluing the heels together, lifting and lowering the top knee. See if you can find your breath and your gratitude circling the hip joint. If your mind begins to notice differences from left to right, can you offer yourself compassion and curiosity? Take one more nice deep breath, and then we'll close down the movement. Slide the knees back so they're in a straight line with the body, and then lift that top knee, lower it down onto the ground or to a block. So you can find a bit of a stretch. Here, you might bring your top hand to your shoulder, allowing your shoulder to maybe sink back for another twist. Maybe you bring your fist down onto your hip and just give it a gentle pat. Massage down onto the thigh, onto the glutes. And then when you're ready, we're going to roll back onto our backs. You can either hug your knees in towards your chest, rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, or if you like, just go ahead and roll back onto your side and press yourself up into a seat. You might use a pillow or take a blanket and fold it up to just make a nice pillow to sit on. So we'll come to seated for a little bit. Make yourself comfortable, bring yourself onto your seat. I'm going to bring the blocks handy as well. You might find yourself in a cross-legged position. You can also veto sitting on the floor and sit in a chair if you prefer. From here, let's go ahead and take some rounds of cat and cow. So we'll inhale to reach the heart forward, exhale to round the spine back. And if you prefer to be on hands and knees for this, you can come into tabletop for cat and cow instead. See if you can soothe yourself with the sound of your breath. Lifting the heart, and then exhale to find that rounding of your spine. And after a few rounds, maybe it would feel good to start to draw a big circle with the belly button. Allow yourself to explore sensation here, and you might pause if you notice any places that have extra sensation or need extra attention. And then feel free to reverse the direction of your circles when you feel ready. Maybe you can bring your head and neck into the mix a little bit, stretching through the sides of the neck. Take one more nice deep breath wherever you're at, and when you feel balanced from side to side in each direction, we'll come back to stillness. And when you're ready, we're going to make our way next onto our belly. So I realized we didn't really need the blocks there, did we? But I'm going to bring them up close so that I have one available as a pillow for when I'm on the belly. So go ahead and make your way onto your belly. Maybe you want to take a moment to come through a plank or a downward facing dog. And then whenever you feel ready, go ahead and land yourself on your belly. You can stretch your legs back, rolling a little bit side to side, untucking the toes, pressing the tops of the feet on the mat. We'll bring the palms underneath the shoulders, and then you can roll your shoulders up towards your ears, glide your shoulder blades down the back, and then start to lift the heart for a baby cobra. On your next exhale, you can turn the gaze to the left and bring your right ear towards the mat, or maybe onto a block if it feels too far away. And just rest here with your temple down. Now, if it's too much of a twist to turn your gaze, you could also just lower your forehead down to the mat. On the next inhale, we'll roll the shoulders up, glide them down the back, lift the heart ever so slightly for a baby cobra. And then on your next exhale, you can turn your gaze to the right this time. Lower your left temple down to the mat, or your forehead down to the mat, or to a block. We're going to do a few more rounds of baby cobra. So inhale, lift the heart, Keep the gaze low towards the mat to find length through the back of your neck. And then exhale, lower down. Go ahead and take a few more rounds. Maybe turning your gaze side to side. Just following the pace of your own breath. After that last round, feel free to rest in Makrasana, crocodile pose. So you can stack your palms, lower your forehead down, or stack your fists and lower your forehead. So you're making a little pillow for your forehead here. You might bend the knees and allow the heels to sway from side to side. Another option would be to skip crocodile and to press up and back into a child's pose. Take a moment to rest. See if you can explore this concept of contentment by allowing yourself to soften, rest in the calm, abiding center. With each breath, filling the body with gratitude. Allowing yourself to practice being in the present moment, letting go of the past, letting go of the future. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath here. And then with your next exhale, you can plant your palms underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes under, and press up either through table or plank. And then feel free to find a downward facing dog. And you're always welcome to skip the down dog altogether and come into a forward fold. So you can feel free to rest your hands on blocks or on a chair. And to come up to stand to skip the down dog, you could bring maybe your left foot towards your left wrist, bring your hands onto the chair or onto blocks, and then tuck the back toes under and lift the back knee, hopping that foot in so you find yourself in a forward fold. Maybe you walk your feet a little bit wide to make room for your torso, and you might wrap your hands around your opposite elbows. Maybe you sway your hips a little bit side to side. Could also rest your hands on blocks if you like. Just feeling the length through the back side of your body, knowing that any amount is okay and that you can always skip anything. This is your own practice, so just noticing, observing, and deciding what's right for you. We'll walk the feet in now, and you can spring load your legs, sweep your arms out wide to the sides, and let's come up to stand. Bring your hands onto your heart center. I'm just going to get that blanket out of the way and scooch back so you can see me. Go ahead and rest your hands on your heart. Feel for the unique rhythm of your heartbeat. And then blink your eyes open. We're going to practice balancing in tree pose, thinking of that reading from earlier. Finding this strong and yet flexible tree. So from here, you can start to bring your weight into your left leg. Just peel your right heel off of the mat so your heel is lifted. And this might be enough of a balance challenge. Now, if you do have a wall space, you could rest your hand on a wall or maybe even balance right in front of the wall so that you can feel that if anytime you need to recruit support from the wall, you could always lean back against it. You can stay right here, or maybe you start to peel the right knee open, bringing your right heel onto your left ankle. And if you want to go a little further, you might start to glide your heel up. So now your foot is pressing against your opposite calf. See if you can find a soft focal point. We call this a dristi, a place to rest your gaze. And then you're welcome to bring your hands to meet at your heart. We'll take the three middle fingers and bloom them open. So your pinky finger and your thumb are resting together. Your middle fingers are open, and you can just see this in your periphery. So you can still find that focal point, the dristi. And then imagine that glowing jewel, your intention, right at the palm of your hands. And then you can go ahead and send that jewel, your intention, out into the universe. Reach it up, opening your arms up towards the sky. When you're ready, we'll step the foot out, reach your arms out, and just let it all go. Allow your arms to graze your sides. You might sigh out through the mouth, letting it all go. And then we'll come back to center. Find yourself in your standing mountain pose. Feel your hands resting on your heart center, searching for the mystery of your beating heart. Maybe you can imagine with each heartbeat something you can feel grateful for. And then we'll go ahead and blink the eyes open. You can rest your hands at your sides. This time we're going to root down through the right leg, peel your left heel off of the mat, and just feel into your foot rooting down. You might open the left knee, maybe bring the heel to rest on the ankle. Kind of a kickstand of support. Still requires a bit of balance here. Maybe you slide your foot up to rest on your opposite calf. It's like being on a tightrope. Maybe you use your hands to help you with your balance. And also finding that focal point, the dristi, can be really helpful. So a fixed place on the ground or at the horizon, have a soft focus. And if you like, you can bring your hands back into your heart space, Anjali Mudra, and then we'll find this lotus flower mudra by peeling the middle fingers open, allowing that beaming jewel, that light, your intention to fill center of your palms, and then sending that intention, Santosha, contentment, out into the world. You can reach your arms up towards the sky, lift the heart, lift the gaze. And when you're ready, step the feet out. Allow your arms to swing, gently massaging your back, finding that gentle graze. Your hands flapping against your body. When you're ready, you can oscillate back to center. Let it all go. Find yourself in your standing mountain once more. And then we'll bring the hands to rest at the heart. You might close down your eyes or soften your gaze. Bring your awareness back into the beating of your heart. On your next inhale, you can blink the eyes open, and we're going to set up for warrior one next. So you can step your right foot forward, your left foot back, come into a bit of a lunge. So you can make this more challenging by coming into a deeper lunge. You can make it less challenging by having a softer bend in your knee. We'll bring the hands to the hips or to the heart. Or you might reach your arms up towards the sky. On the next exhale, we're going to bring the right hand to press into your right thigh. And then we're going to do some cosmic bowling. So you can slide that hand, the left hand, around behind you. And then maybe you sweep it down in front, leaning into it, and then stretching back. You can start to straighten that front leg a little bit, taking a bend out of the knee, sweeping the arm up and around, drawing a great big circle with the arm. Make any adjustments you need to make it more comfortable for yourself. Leaning in and then backing off. The next time your hand swings around, bring your hands to your hips, and you can keep your hands resting there, or you might interlace your hands behind you, squeezing your shoulder blades towards each other. We'll inhale to lift the heart and then exhale to fold over that front thigh to come into humble warrior. Now you can keep your hands at your back or bring them out to rest on your blocks. Allowing yourself to feel into this abiding calm. Feeling the support of the legs strong beneath you, softening your whole upper body, resting the torso. When you're ready, we'll all bring our hands down to blocks or to a chair or towards the ground. And then you can pivot the back foot. So now your heel is lifted. You're in a high lunge. You might rock the hips a little front to back. And we can play around with balance here in warrior three. So you might hop that foot in and maybe you kick the foot back. Thinking about balancing again on one foot. Keeping the hips fairly level. And then whenever you're ready, you can step the feet together and find a forward fold. You might interlace your hands around your opposite elbows and just ragdoll here from side to side. Or you can allow your hands to rest down towards the ground. On the next inhale, we'll press the palms against the shins or on the chair seat or on blocks to inhale and lengthen the spine up halfway. Exhale to forward fold. And then inhale, sweep the arms up and around. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. And once more, rest your hands right on your heart. Feel for the rhythm of your heartbeat. Closing down the eyes or softening the gaze. Then we're going to get ready to do that on the other side. So you could bring your blocks to the top of your mat. If they're not there already, step the left foot forward, the right foot back. You could have your right toes kind of at a 45-degree angle. Bend into the front knee and find your warrior one. You can bring your hands to your hips, hands in prayer at your heart, or reach your arms up towards the sky. On the next exhale, we'll land the left hand on the left thigh, reach the right hand behind you, and then we're going to sweep it around, finding this nice big circle. And you can lean back into it and then reach forward, bending into the front knee. Opening up, finding that, painting that nice big circle around. The next time your hand falls back behind you, go ahead and interlace the hands together on your low back, or bring your hands to your hips. We'll inhale to lift the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then exhale, allow yourself to hinge forward, softening onto your front thigh for humble warrior. You can keep your hands interlaced behind you or bring them down onto the blocks. Life gets a little lifey. Maybe it's an opportunity to remember to be humble. How can we find the softness and grace to stay calm in the abiding center? Allowing the structure and support of our legs to support us. When you're ready, we'll all bring our hands down to the ground or blocks or a chair. We can pivot onto the ball of the back toes, lifting up in a high lunge. You can always stay in the high lunge, or you might hop the back foot in, walk the hands out in front, and find a little bit of balance and strength in your warrior three, kicking your back heel back behind you, thinking about keeping the hips leveled towards the ground. So maybe it's requiring some strength of the legs, strength of the core. And then whenever you're ready, landing both feet together to find a forward fold. Take a moment to interlace your hands around your opposite elbows and just ragdoll here. You might shake your head no, or nod your head yes. And then we'll bring the hands to the shins or to the blocks. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to forward fold. Now we're going to come down onto the ground, so feel free to step your feet back to find a downward dog. Or maybe you rest in child's pose, so you could bring your knees down onto the ground, bring your big toes to touch, open your knees up wide, stretch your arms out in front, or find a seated position that feels comfortable for you. If you're coming onto a seat, remember you can always pad underneath your seat with a blanket, wherever you're at. If you're seated or if you're in child's pose, we're going to find a forward fold. So you might bring the soles of your feet to touch if you're seated. Inhale to lengthen your spine and then exhale to fold forward. If you're already in child's pose, you're already kind of folding forward there. So it's kind of choosing what feels right for you. I'm kind of avoiding the child's pose recently because of my knee injury. So thinking about modifying in a way that suits you best. With each inhale, you might lengthen your spine. Each exhale, you might allow your heart to melt a little bit further towards the ground. Take another nice deep breath wherever you're at. And then we'll inhale. We can all meet up in a seat. And then find yourself close to either a wall or a couch. We're going to come onto our back and come into figure four pose. So if you have a wall space, you might shimmy yourself towards that wall space. Or if you have a couch, could you bring your legs up onto the couch? Go ahead and rotate your ankles as you stretch your legs long. And then we'll bring the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Draw the shape in towards the body. Now, if it's okay to be on hands and knees and you're familiar with pigeon pose, you could also insert a pigeon here instead. Just finding a way to stretch through the glutes and the hips. If you don't have a wall space or furniture you want to use, you could also interlace your hands or wrap a strap behind your left thigh and draw the shape in towards the body. I just rather like using the support in order to soften the torso. Can you send your breath and your gratitude down into your hip joint? Maybe finding a little bit of activation here by flexing the toes towards the knee. Feel all the places that your body is making contact with support. See if you can cultivate gratitude for all the ways in which you are supported. And even that feeling of hug from gravity holding you to the earth. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll stretch both legs long. Once more, you might find some rotation for the wrists and the ankles. And then reverse the direction when you're ready. This time we're going to get set up for the second side. So bringing your left ankle onto your right thigh, you can draw the shape in towards the body. Breathing into the left hip now. If you sense any subtle differences from left to right, can you offer yourself compassion and curiosity? You can make this a more active stretch by flexing your toes back towards your knees. Noticing where you can also soften it into support, relaxing the hinge of your jaw, softening your forehead, releasing your shoulders. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath in your figure four pose. And then you can stay right where you're at, or maybe find your way back to the center of your mat. We're going to do hand to foot pose next. And so for this one, you might use a strap. So see if you have a strap handy. I got myself an extra large strap, extra long strap, I should say, really, so that I could make a giant loop with the strap and then wrap the loop behind my shoulder blades. So I have the strap underneath me. Then you're going to lasso your right foot with the strap. And then the reason why I got this extra long strap is so that I could sort of cinch it around. And this is sort of the same idea as the figure four pose. Um, that idea of balancing our effort and our ease. So now the strap is around my back and I don't have to hold on so tightly. You can keep your left foot on the floor with your knee bent, or you could slide that leg long if you want to deepen the stretch. So you're reaching your right foot up towards the sky. If you have an extra long strap like this and you are all in a big loop around the foot, you could soften your arms down next to you. Or if you're holding on and your strap is long enough, you might allow your elbows to rest on the ground. If not, you can also reach your arms up towards your foot, and maybe this is a nice stretch this way too. See if you can breathe all along the back of the leg. We'll stay right here for one more nice deep breath. And then we're going to travel so that you can start to open your leg, your right leg, out to the right. If you were close to a wall and you wanted support, you could always rest your leg on the support of the wall or a couch. And then either stretch your left leg long, or you could counterbalance if your foot is on the ground by opening the left knee out to the left. You might take the reins of your strap and bring them both into your right hand. So you're reaching out with your left hand to grab hold of the strap. Or if you have this nice big circle, you might be able to relax your arm. I think in order to do this, I have like a 10-foot strap. It's quite long. Allow yourself a moment to really breathe into sensations here, and also not needing to go to your absolute edge. So finding softness, maybe backing off 10%. We'll take one more nice deep breath here, and then you can float the leg back to center. Bring the strap into the opposite hand now, maybe the left hand, and just allow your right leg to cross the midline. So you don't need to go very far to feel sensation along the outer edge of your right leg. Notice where you can soften the body, leaning into support, relaxing any tension or gripping. And then we'll come back to center. You can bring both your feet onto the mat or stretch your legs long. And just feel into the differences from left to right. When you feel ready to try the other side, you can take your strap, lasso your left leg, left foot around, wrapping the strap around the ball of the foot, and then making any adjustments you need to get comfortable. You might reach around with both hands, finding length through the back of the leg, allowing both hips to settle. You can always keep your right foot on the mat or glide the right leg long to deepen the stretch. So finding what feels right for you. Take some nice deep breaths, keeping a soft micro bend in the knee. So you're not trying to overdo it, not trying to overextend. We'll take one more nice deep breath down the back of the leg. And then when you feel ready, you can open your left leg out to the left, any amount, maybe leaning it onto some support, You could bring the reins of the strap into the left hand, reaching for your foot. You could counterbalance by allowing that bent knee on the right side, if your foot is flat on the mat, to open out, feeling a stretch through the inner thigh, through the inseam of the leg. And then when you're ready, we're going to go the other way, bringing the foot back up to center. You can transfer the reins of the strap into the right hand now. Just allow the left leg to ever so slightly cross the midline. Continuing to let yourself soften. Feel free to stay here as long as feels good. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to unwind from the shape, either bringing your feet onto the ground or stretching the legs long. It's now time to make your way into your final resting pose, Shavasana. So this can be however you want. Maybe you stay right here with your feet resting on the mat. This could be a little bit gentler for the low back. Or if you have a nice big pillow, you could rest it underneath the knees if you want to take the legs long. Maybe you rest a pillow on the body, or a blanket on the body, I should say, pillow underneath the head. And if there are any last shapes that would help you complete your practice today, feel free to insert them now, taking as long as you like. Softening your forehead. And you're ready for your final rest. in this country wanting what we don't have. In this country wanting what we don't have has become a contagious plague. Rather than experiencing contentment, we can find ourselves busy getting ready for the next thing, tossed about by our preferences for what we like and what we don't like, and riding the waves of annoying disturbances. The jewel of Santosha invites us into contentment by taking refuge in a calm center, opening our hearts in gratitude for what we have, and practicing the paradox of not seeking. We let our contentment be managed by uncontrollable variables. As long as we think satisfaction comes from an external source, we will never be content. Looking outward for fulfillment will always disappoint us and keep contentment one step out of reach. It is not easy to stay content. How do we get there and how do we stay there? Practicing gratitude protects us from our own pettiness and smallness and keeps us centered in the joy and abundance of our own lives. When situations pull at us and disturbance beckons us, it is the gratitude uttered from our own lips that keeps us strongly rooted in contentment. The Buddhists speak of developing an abiding calm, a centeredness that is unshakable, like a tall tree so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it. This is the image of contentment. It means not riding the waves of the ups and downs of life. We stay in the abiding, calm center. Swami Rama stated it this way: contentment is falling in love with your life. You can begin to deepen your breath. Start to invite some gentle movements down into your fingertips and into your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles.
And then take a nice long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears. You can roll onto one side, cradle your head on your upper arm in a fetal position, and then press yourself up into a seat. Feel free to invite your hands to meet at your heart center in a gesture of gratitude, Anjali Mudra. And then you can bow your head towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to guide you through your practice this morning. So thank you all so much for being here with me. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about class.